Speaking of breathing, my next guest has made a career out of breathing and pioneered a new breathwork concept she named the unwinding compass. Jane Baldwin is a mindfulness coach and speaker who has spent over 20 years teaching health and wellness. Her method, the unwinding compass, helps people think more clearly by focusing on their breathing. Because she had such a great love for the outdoors and an appetite for travel, Jane actually began her career as an archaeologist and an anthropologist. But a health crisis helped her shift her attention to helping others discover what matters most.
I was always interested in going and searching and exploring and discovering and finding the treasures in the jungle that you can't see just by looking. And now I do that with people because, we all have gifts and talents and treasures that we've lost or forgotten about. And so that's what I help people do, is rediscover, uncover, and remember these gifts and talents and treasures that they've forgotten. In my 20s, while I was in grad school in Maya archaeology, I was diagnosed with cancer, and that just completely changed my trajectory, because cancer has a way of asking the question, what's most important? What matters most? And for me, that was the gift of cancer, that I was able to heal from it and use that time to really discern what was the most important for me, what was I missing, what was I not thinking about. And then really all this came through my healing, like what was the best way for me to heal. And of course, I took advantage of all of the medical treatments. I had surgery and radiation, but I found that if I wasn't asking that question of myself every single day, what matters most to me, that fear, like even after the doctor says, your cancer's gone, you're clear, you're fine, you're still going to have those thoughts, and that mind is going to do whatever it does and create that fear of, it can come back, and, all the feelings of hopelessness and the death, and I needed a way to get a handle on just my thoughts running away from me. And so really bringing it back to focusing on what matters most, right? So healing from cancer or any other illness is really more than physical. There's a mental component, there's an emotional one. And if you believe that illness is part of your soul's journey, then there's also a spiritual component for you there as well. And so that's where breath work, meditation, and yoga really helped.
The one thing we all have in common is that we have to breathe. Jane's journey past her cancer led her to a yoga-related practice called Ayurveda, where she learned a great deal about the mind-body connection and how the breath is an important part of overall health as well as healing.
I shadowed this Ayurvedic doctor for many years, many times, and people would come in and tell him their problems, aches, pains. Every single time he gave a prescription, it was a breathing technique. The breath is intimately linked to your nervous system. So like anxiety and anger, when you're feeling those intense emotions, they correspond to an irregular short, fast breath, right? And you're breathing all up in here. And that kicks your nervous system and your brain into a fight or flight, right? Yep. While longer, slower breaths activate a calmer rest and digest state. So when you're in worry, anxiety, and stress, you're either letting your regrets drag you back into the past, into your past and all your worries from your past, or your fears are pulling you into the future and you're not present. That's the whole thing about worry, stress, anxiety. How do we manage it? How do we manage it? It's really just with the breath and right now. Breath work gets you focused on the present moment. This is the place of possibility and wonder, right in this moment. Not the one just happened, and not the one that's going to happen that you're planning for, because what happens in this moment is when you're making the choices.
Breath work gives us the space to be truly present, according to Jane. Through breath work, you can see your thoughts as something separate from you and not the real you. Spiritual teacher Eckhart Tolle speaks of something similar when he describes what it means to be present in his book, The Power of Now. He teaches that nothing in our thoughts is real because it is all part of our ego. By extension, all of our busyness, our stress, and our anxieties come from not being fully present in this moment. In breath work, says Jane, we find a stillness, and that stillness allows us to tap into that presence, which then allows us to be creative and innovative in ways that we cannot achieve when we're always on the run.
There has to be that space for that spontaneous flow. When everything's black and white and you know what's happening next and you're thinking, and you're checking things off the list, there's a rigidity there that doesn't allow for spontaneity. And I would say spontaneity is the spice of life. And it really is, because there's something about it's not being spontaneous. I'm not talking about going in, like leaving work early and being spontaneous or anything. It's
running off to Mexico.
Yeah, exactly. It's allowing that spontaneity to happen whenever it happens, and being aware enough and present enough that you can recognize that shift.
Jane's full interview, which will air next month, explores her unwinding compass methodology and describes how it can be used to focus on your breath and bring your awareness into your body.